From our studios in New York, here is Matt Lauer.
They're gazillionaires, for crying out loud, so it's not like the Rolling Stones had to go on tour again or make a new album for that matter. But the fans have got to be happy they did. The Stones' latest CD, 16 new songs in all, is being called their best work in years. And from what we saw on stage, these legendary rockers are still refusing to act their age. We wanted a backstage tour, and we got one from the Stones themselves. An exclusive look at what is often called the world's greatest rock and roll band, counting down to a megawatt concert.
Yeah, it's great to be back here in Boston, I'll tell you that. Boston's a champion city, you know that?
They call their concert tour a bigger band. And for the Rolling Stones, it's more than just a catchy name. It's a promise to their fans. But what the fans don't see is the work that goes into it. Tonight, you will. We're with the Stones at Boston's Fenway Park.
Thank you very much.
It's rehearsal night, and the pressure's on.
That sounds quite good in here. Yeah.
You're witnessing the critical hours leading up to the launch of their worldwide tour.
I'd like to thank very much all the crew that put this stage up in record time.
I said I know it's only rock and roll, but I like it.
The Stones may say it's only rock and roll, but this runs more like a corporation. When you peek behind the curtain, you'll see it practically takes a village to pull off a show of this magnitude.
Can you believe the size of this thing?
It's good, isn't it? It's very big.
It's unbelievable.
A week later, we meet up again in Hartford, Connecticut, their second stop. And how's this for a backstage pass? The ultimate tour from the ultimate frontman.
But the amazing thing is how they tear this down after a couple of nights and get it into the next
Well, the trick is...
It's 5:15, less than 4 hours till showtime. We take the walk down to the mammoth 6-story, 400-ton steel set, the same route the Stones will soon take to get to the stage and perform for some 40,000 fans.
Hi, Opie. How's it going today? I'm showing the stage to Matt Lauer.
Nice to see you.
How many people you have helping you put it up and down in this place?
We'll be at about 160 tonight for loadout to take it down, and we were at 104 unloading.
And how long from when it comes in the trucks to getting it to look like this?
The production is, we did it in 16 hours last
16, yeah.
Yeah.
That's an improvement on Boston.
Oh, yeah.
Jagger is in understandably high spirits. The reviews for the Boston opening night concert were uniformly positive. The New York Times marveling that the Stones are defying age. And watching Mick Jagger, you can see why. At 62 years old, the Stones' leading man still has the swagger and strut that made him an icon. Jagger trains like an athlete, working out before every show.
You use just about every inch of the stage when I've come to see you. And so you go from down there to there. I'm
This is
looking
pretty narrow, actually.
But I mean, it's like 50 yards.
Fenway was over 300 feet.
So,
But this is much narrower.
So what do you put in, a couple of miles during the show?
I don't know what it is, really. Up and back, up and back, up and back, you know, it's like... But you got, you know, it's like any sport, you pace yourself. You don't, you know, you don't run the whole time. You know?
It's a good view.
Yeah. You got X marks the spot. That's your center spot.
So how tightly choreographed is the show? In other words, how many times during the show do you have to be in a specific spot?
I don't have to be anyway. I mean, it's pretty loose. If it's a rock show, it's not, a, you know, a ballet. It's very ad-lib for me.
I saw some of the Fenway tape, and by the end of the show, you were still going back and forth and out in the crowd, and it seemed to me like you didn't want to leave the stage.
Well, you do, you know, you get excited, and it is, you know, the first couple of shows, you get like, you know, really, after show 61, you know, it's a bit more used to it all. But, you know, you get excited, but if you pace yourself right, you shouldn't come off stage exhausted.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks for sitting down.
5:30 now, and drummer Charlie Watts arrives on stage. The 64-year-old is happy to be there after surviving throat cancer just this past year.
when they say you got cancer, I thought, well, you know, that's it. I just go, well, I knew I wouldn't die that night, but I knew it was like a year to go, and I'd be really look awful at the end of it. And, you know, 6 months later, I did look pretty rough, but I wasn't as bad as a lot of people I saw.
So going through something like that, does it make the start of a tour like this a different experience?
No, I did sit up in Boston thinking, I'm so lucky to be here.
Ronnie Wood and Keith Richards joined the rest of the group on stage. It's time for the Stones to go over the set list for tonight's show.
It's 6:15 right now, 2.5 hours before showtime, and anywhere the Stones play, this is the time where they get together on stage, like they are right now in the background, for the sound check. They go over the technical aspect of the show, and it could be the best ticket in town. It's 7 o'clock, 2 hours before showtime, as I meet up with Keith Richards, as he's hurriedly transported by golf cart from the stage back to his dressing room. What's the vibe like being back on tour?
Well, as you can see, pretty much it's like what you're seeing. It's pretty good, man. Yeah, it's the first two shows were incredible. I've never known early shows to go that well. I've never known Nick to be so confident.
98% of the shows are sold out, and there are still more concerts yet to be scheduled in Europe, Australia, and Asia.
You ever get tired of that view when the seats are full?
That's a good view.
Yeah.
I can't really see it though when I'm up here, to be honest.
You don't see faces, you just see a sea.
Well, you see faces at the front, but you don't. This is all dark, you know, and it has a completely magic, different look at night than it does in the day.
You ever forget where you are in terms of what city?
No, I was.
You've never done. You've never done.
Anyway,
Hello, we love you, Hartford, and the guy screams out,
I've never done it.
No,
I've never done it. It's one of my nightmares.
Yeah, I can imagine.
By now, the fans who've been waiting all afternoon outside the stadium are let inside.
They're just as wonderful today as they were 30 years ago.
They are truly a legend.
Greatest rock and roll band in the world.
The mom's got to win points with her teenagers, so getting them tickets is a score.
Come on, we got one right
And soon,
here.
it's crunch time, just about an hour until the show. But Keith Richards still has a few moments to reflect on what it's like to be part of one of rock and roll's most enduring partnerships.
I read a quote, and I loved it, and I'm just curious to hear your reaction to it. It was in Newsweek magazine, Keith, and it said, Richards is there to remind Jagger that he's a musician, and Jagger's there to remind Richards that he's a star.
Well, that's an interesting one. Yeah, I mean, I really always think that Nick underestimated himself and is underestimated as a musician, per se.
And so what about the other side of that? Are you underestimated as a star? Do you underestimate yourself as a star?
I mean, maybe I do forget I am one, and that's where I screw up sometimes. And maybe Nick helps me out that way. I mean, whatever we do, one of us complements the other on what the other one doesn't have. I mean, somehow, for some weird reason, you know, it's a chemistry thing, you know. I mean, hey, Einstein could maybe tell you. But, I mean, he was a pretty bad student, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Close to 8 o'clock, the countdown continues, but inside Ron Wood's dressing room, an oasis of calm.
We're looking an hour before showtime right now. You seem as relaxed and calm as a guy can get. Is that a little misleading? Is there something else going on inside?
No, I really feel comfortable. Like Keith and I have this... Here he is. Keith and I have this saying, I can't wait to get on stage for a bit of peace and quiet.
Yeah, right.
Because we're always doing things and always being dragged here, there, and everywhere. And like when we get on stage, we can go, now it's just me and my guitar and the gang, you know, and it keeps flooding back. And but it keeps getting better. Nowadays, we're striving for one day we might get it right, you know.
Arriving fashionably late, it's finally showtime, and another chance to get it right. The Stones take the walk they've taken countless times over the past 40 years. The packed stadium waits
for the group known as the world's greatest rock and roll band to make a bigger bang, just as promised.
Hello, Hartford!
And in case you were wondering, no nightmares. Jagger remembered where they were.
We're really enjoying it. It's a very nice place. We love this place. This one's called She's So Cold. I'm so happy, I'm so happy, I'm so happy, she's so cold. I'm so happy, I'm on fire. So happy, she's so cold. I'm so cold, she's so cold, cold. I'm so happy, she's so cold.
Among the cities on the Stones tour is Baltimore, where 36 years ago fans paid $4.50 for a good ticket. Today, a prime seat's going for about $160. The tour, by the way, expected to gross up to $300 million by the time it ends next September.